Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we'll talk about client handling. So I have already one program created. Inside this program, we have local demo class, and inside this local demo class, we have one static main method which we are calling in startup selection, as usual we do. So inside this main method, I already wrote basic select statement. You can see I'm getting the data from VBAK is sales order table and making a inner join and getting data from VBAP, and I have sales order field is common because sales order is header table and item table we are having VBAP, and I'm getting the sum of the data from the sales order table and some of the data from the line item table, means line item and material from line item table, and sales order number, VKORG and VK group, sales org and sales group I'm taking from header table. It's a very basic select statement I wrote, and I got the data in the result. Let me display this data. So I want to explain client handling here. So if you open VBAK table over here, let me open this table parallelly. So VBAK or VBAP, any table you can open. So you can see whenever you see this table, we have key field mandate as well and VBLN as well. But whenever we specify on condition or where condition, we only use the key field VBLN. But as per the SAP, we should use all the key fields to, it will give us performance. But no need to, we never add mandate field in our where condition. Why? Because SAP will add for us this, this mandate field whenever we are executing the select statement. In the database interface in the application server, it will add this client field, and for us it will be sent to the data. Before sending the this statement for execution in the database, it will add this client field, then it will send. So it is called automatic client handling. Even we are not specifying the client in the where condition, it will send automatically. It will add that client field, and then it will send. I think in one of the previous video I already shown you in the ST05 screenshot how it is added. But here we gonna talk about if I want to get from some different client data. I don't want to use my current client, because automatic client handling is happen only for the current client. It will add automatically the current client, and then the send then that SQL statement sent to the database, and that statement execute on the database on that particular client. So if you know about the client is something we have where we maintain the separate set of data for different purpose. You might have, if you are real time working, then you might have 200 client and 400 client. 200 client is used for the development purpose and 400 client is used for the testing purpose. So in the 400 client, most of the data is available, so where we can test thoroughly. But some of the time what we have to do, we have to test in development client or some test program we have to test, and we have to get the data from the another testing client, and then we have to test. That time we will use client, we have to specify another client, and we have to get the data from the another client. This is not real time business scenario. We will never use cross client things in the business, in the production system. We never specify the client, because always we should get the data from the current client only, and it should handled by the SAP. But suppose I want to get the data from other client, so obviously I have to mention one where condition. Let me put one where condition, where mandate or client field is there. So mandate, MA control space, you have to do MANDT, mandate equal to suppose this current client is 200. Let me get the data from 800. I want to get the data from the 800 client. What is the problem here? Okay, from which table you are getting? So in this case, the problem is here, and we have to use one additional thing, client specified in our select statement. We have to tell the system we have specified the client. So you have to tell client specified. So it will, if we specify, if we use this statement, then the system will know you specified the client, so the system will not do the client handling. This is the classical way of doing, how we are doing before ABAP or HANA or before 7.4, how we are doing. In this case, I have to mention not only here this mandate, I have to mention here as well. I have to do like this and condition, and I have to put this condition so mandt equal to should be item mandt. So I have to specify the client. One second, item. So in this case, I have only one join condition. In real time, we can join more than 2, 3, 4, 5, more, up to 50 table we can join. We have to specify everywhere client. It is not good idea to do that thing. Let me execute this one. Control F3. F9. I have to clear the data also. Okay, I have to first display the data. I didn't display it. Let me do cl underscore demo underscore output, control space, output. I want to call display method of this one, control space, display, and I want to pass this table IT result. Control C, control V, and shift F1. There is something wrong. Control F3. Let me do F9. Activated and F9. Clear out the console and F9. So now we are getting the data from 800 client instead of 200 client. If I want to get from the current client 200 client, let me copy this one. Control C, Control V, deletes, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, let me do this thing. Delete. Let me remove this where condition, remove this client specified, and remove this also don't required. Okay, I think, and instead of result I have to do result 1, and as usual instead of display we have to write it out, and into table. Okay, this is Control C, Control V, Control V, shift F1. In this case, how we will see how the Control F3. Let me clear out the console. Now we are getting our current client is 200 client. You can see YTS system is there and 200 client is there. So it will get the data from the 200 client instead of 800 client. Let me do F8. Oh no, sorry, F9. So first we got the data from the 800 client. You can see 17110 and test made. If you go to the there is too much data. Okay, we have test made. I think same data is maintained, so that is the reason I can see the same data over here. 7 test made, and so there is extra data in the another client. Means to our current client there is some extra data. In first client there is a less data only, not much data is there. Okay, so like that we can specify the client and get the data from the different client. But this is the older way of doing the client specification. We should not use like this, because you can see we are getting one syntax error as well. You, instead of use client specified, you have to use using client. It will be useful in the CDS views as well, because CDS view there is no, we should know, I don't think so we have client specified. I never use, so we have using client we have to use. So let me modify this statement, Control V. So in that case, no need to do this thing. First thing, we no need to specify the, okay, I will use the below statement itself. Why to use new, create new, Control Shift greater than. Simply what I have to do, I have to use using I think this is the wrong place. This is too much. Using client, Control X, Control V, control space, using client, I can give the client name 800, delete. So in this case, what I am telling the system, instead of specifying, if you use using client instead of client specified, what is the advantage? You no need to mention the everything the sign. If you have a lot of inner joins, then you have to everywhere you have to tell this is the client, this is the client, this is the client, like that you have to tell. In the where condition also I have to tell this is the client. But if you are using client, it will done by SAP. It will get the data only from the 800 client instead of getting the data from the 200 client. So this is the advantage of doing this. So this is the newer way of doing this, and how we were doing previously in classical ABAP. We used to do the client specified, and then we have to pass the client everywhere in the where condition, in the on condition, wherever we are passing, we have to pass. So nowadays we are getting the syntax error. Instead of using client specified, you have to use using client. That is the very important thing. Some of the theory points just I want to go through. So automatic client handling switch off whenever we are using the client specified in the classical way, there is no automatic client will happen. Automatic client handling will switch off. Our database interface will not add that mandate field explicitly, and we have to add and we have to send. Even when we use the native SQL, we are not using open SQL. That time we have to use mandate. There is no other way, because we have to in native SQL directly there will be no work of the database interface. Native SQL, when we write the code, it will run directly execute on the database, and we have to mention explicitly client there, which client you are using. Currently we are using open SQL, so SAP doing a lot of things for us. In the database interface layer, they are adding the client for us. And if you don't want to use SAP's client handling, we have to use client specified, and we have to explicitly define the clients which we are using. Not only that, if you want to see the following source code, means whatever I return the database table where condition, as I told you, we have to explicitly define everywhere in the where condition. And if client handling in OpenSQL is switched to the different client using the additional using client, we can use using client and we can switch to different client instead of current client. That is the same thing whatever I told. If OpenSQL has to be used access data in the different client, using client should be used instead of the client specified, since all necessary conditions are set implicitly. That means all mandate field necessary condition means client handling automatically set whenever you are using client. So that's a very simple thing, basic thing, but whenever we are doing, we have to make sure we have to do like this.